Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. If you are not sure where you're listening this or streaming coming from, this is Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra, and we have been doing teachings uh, many years now, over nearly 30 years, and each year we have 4 school terms, and each term is 8 weeks. So during those 8 weeks, we do study on specific Buddhist subjects, and sometimes those subjects are reading special Buddhist books. And last term, we start reading the famous Buddhist classic called Vishuddhimagga. So we are continuing with that. So thank you for joining me and many others, both either in person or in YouTube or Facebook or on Zoom, whichever way. Please feel free to share with your friends, because this book is very big, and most people don't get to read it because the print's very small. So I'm deliberately taking the delight to read this, so that those who are not able to read by themselves actually get to sit and listen. The listening has amazing merit. Not because I'm reading it, because the subject is very, very blessed, very important. So thank you for all of you who have made that commitment. Some of you I know since started this right from the very beginning in the previous term. Now we're on the second term. Today is lesson number 5. So thank you very much. We will do the prayers first. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Aitere Vyede Enlightenment by Jehoje Vendala Aishare Buddha Vajube Yenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Aitere Vyede Enlightenment by virtue of Yevandala Ashare Buddha Vajube and the Buddha Dhamma Sangha Aitere Vyede Enlightenment by virtue of Yevandala Ashare Buddha Vajube. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know apart from happiness that know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness, and may they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know apart from happiness that know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion of those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know apart from happiness that know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, those near and far. Now we recite the Heart Sutra mantra for a little while before I do this reading first. Tadyadam gade gade barangade barazangade buddhazo wa tadyadangade gade barangade barazangade buddhazo tadyadangade gade barangade barazangade buddhazo wa tadyadangade gade barazangade buddhazo wa tadyadangade gade barangade barazangade buddhazo wa tadyadangade gade Barazanga den Buddhazo, Tadyadanga denga de Barangade, Barazanga den Buddhazo, Tadyadanga denga de Barangade, Barazanga den Buddhazo, Tadyadanga denga de Barazanga den Buddhazo, Tadyadanga denga de Barangade, Barazanga den Buddhazo, Tadyadanga denga de Barazanga den Buddhazo, Tadyadanga denga de Barangade, Barazanga den Buddhazo, Tadyadanga denga Barangade barazangade buddhazo wa dadyadangade barangade barazangade buddhazo dadyadangade barangade barazangade buddhazo wa dadyadangade barangade barazangade buddhazo Tadadanga denga de baranga de barazanga de bodhisattva, Tadadanga denga de barazanga de bodhisattva, Tadadanga denga de baranga de barazanga de bodhisattva, Tadadanga denga de barazanga de bodhisattva, Tadadanga denga de baranga de barazanga de bodhisattva, Tadadanga denga de baranga de barazanga de bodhisattva. So the Vishuddhimagga that we are reading is a big book, and it has 3 parts and 23 chapters. And right now we are doing the second part. The part 1 is virtue, which is Shila, and part 2 is meditative concentration. So meditative concentration has many chapters, and right now we're doing the chapter number 8. The chapter number 8 has number of chapter number 7 and chapter number 8. Chapter number 7 and chapter number 8, these two has 10 subjects of meditation. And so of the 10 subjects of meditation, we have finished in previous session the meditation on the body. That's number 8. Now we're going to do the chapter number 8 still, but the subject number 9, that's meditation, mindfulness of breathing. So that's why it's caption number 9. The paragraph is 145. So let's do that. Now comes the description of the development of mindfulness breathing as a meditation subject. It has been recommended by the Blessed One thus: and bhikkhus, this concentration through mindful breathing, when developed and practiced much, is both peaceful and sublime. It is an unadulterated, blissful abiding, and it banishes at once and stills evil, unprofitable thoughts as soon as they arise. The text. It has been described by the Blessed One as having 16 bases thus, and how developed bhikshus, how practiced much is concentration through mindfulness breathing, both peaceful and sublime, an unadulterated, blissful abiding, banishing at once and stilling evil for unprofitable thoughts as soon as they arise. Here, bhikshus, a bhikkhu gone to the forest or to the root of a tree or to an empty place sits down, having folded his legs crosswise, set his own body erect, establish mindfulness in front of him, ever mindful he breathes in, mindful he breathes out. 1. He breathing in long, he knows I breathe in long. Or breathing out long, he knows I breathe out long. 2. Breathing in short, he knows I breathe in short. Or breathing out short, he knows I breathe out short. 3. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing the whole body. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing the whole body. 4. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing bodily formation. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing bodily formation. 5. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing happiness. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing happiness. 6. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing bliss. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing bliss. 7. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing the mental formation. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing the mental formation. 8. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing mental formation. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing mental formations. 9. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing the manner of consciousness. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing the manner of consciousness. 10. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, gladdening the manner of consciousness. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, gladdening the manner of consciousness. 11. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, concentrating the manner of consciousness. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, concentrating the manner of consciousness. 12. He breathes thus, I shall breathe in, liberating the manner of consciousness. He trains thus, breathe out, liberating. I shall breathe out, breathing the manner of consciousness. 13. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, contemplating impermanence. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, contemplating impermanence. 14. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, contemplating fading away. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, contemplating fading away. 14. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, contemplating cessation. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, contemplating cessation. 16. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, contemplating relinquishment. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, contemplating relinquishment. The 146. The description of development is complete in all respect. However, only if it's given in due course after a commentary on the text. So it is given here, introduced by a commentary on the first part of the text. The word commentary. And how developed bhikkhu, how practiced much is concentration through mindfulness breathing. Herein, the first place, how is a question showing desire to explain in detail the development of concentration through mindfulness breathing in various forms. Developed bhikshu in is concentration through mindfulness breathing. This shows the thing that being asked about out of desire to explain in it in its various forms, how practice much as soon as they arise. Here too, the same explanation applies. 147. Herein, developed means arouse or increase concentration through mindfulness breathing. Breathing mindfulness concentration is either concentration associated with mindfulness that discerns breathing, or it is concentration on mindfulness of breathing. Practice much, practice again and again. 148. Both peaceful and sublime, it is peaceful in both ways and sublime in both ways. The two words should each be understood as governed by a word, both. What is meant, unlike foulness, which has a meditation subject, is peaceful and sublime only by penetration. But it is neither peaceful nor sublime in its object, since its object in the learning stage is gross, and after that the object is repulsiveness. Unlike that, this is not unpeaceful or unsublime in any way, but on the contrary, it is peaceful, stilled and quiet, both on account of the peacefulness of the object and on account of the peacefulness on that one of its factors called penetration. And it is sublime, something one cannot have enough of, both on account of the sublimeness of the object and on account of the sublimeness of the aforesaid factor. Here it is called both peacefulness and sublime. 149. It is an unadulterated blissful abiding. It has no adulteration, thus it is unadulterated. It is unalloyed, unmixed, particular, special. Here it is not a question of peacefulness to be reached through preliminary work, as with the kashinas, as through access, as with foulness, for instance. It is peaceful and sublime. It's in its own individual essence, true starting with the very first attention given to it. But some say that it is unadulterated because it is unalloyed. unalloyed, possessed of nutritive value, and sweet in its individual essence too. So it should be understood to be unadulterated and blissful abiding, since it leads to obtaining the bodily and mental bliss with every moment of absorption. 150. As soon as they arise, whenever they are not suppressed, evil, bad, unprofitable akushala thoughts produced by unskillfulness, akushala, it banishes at once, it banishes, suppresses at the very moment, stills, it thoroughly calms, or else when eventually brought to fulfillment by the noble path, it cuts off because of partaking of penetration, it tranquilizes is what is meant. In brief, however, the meaning here is bhikshus. In what way, in what manner, in what system is concentration through mindfulness breathing developed? In what way is its practice much? That is both peaceful as soon as they arise. 152. And how he now asks, here bhikshus, etc., giving the meaning of that in detail. Here bhikshu means bhikshus in this dispensation or a bhikshu, for this word here signifies the Buddha's dispensation as the prerequisite for a person to produce concentration through mindfulness of breathing in all its modes, and it denies that such a state exists in any other dispensation. For this is said, bhikshus, only here is there an ascetic, here a second ascetic, here a third ascetic, here a fourth ascetic. The other dispensations are devoid of ascetics. This is why it has said above, in this dispensation are bhikshu. 153. Gone to the forest or to an empty space. This signifies that he has found an abode favorable to the development of concentration through mindfulness of breathing. For this bhikshu's mind has long been dissipated among visible data, etc., as the object, and does not want to mount the object of concentration through breathing or mindfulness of breathing. It runs off the track like a chariot harnessed to a wild ox. Now suppose a cowherd wanted to tame a wild calf that had been reared on a wild cow's milk. He would take it away from the cow and tie it up apart from a rope to a stout post dug into the ground. Then the calf might dash to and fro, but being unable to get away, he would eventually sit down or lie down to the post. So too, when a bhikshu wants to tame his own mind, which has long been spoiled by being reared on visible data, etc., as object for its food and drink, he should take it away from visible data, etc., as object and bring it into the forest or to the root of the tree or to an empty place and tie it up there to the post of in-breath and out-breath with the rope of mindfulness. And so his mind may then dash to and fro. Oh God. I keep losing this because it's a keep going. And his mind mind may then dash to and fro when it no longer gets the object it was formerly. It was formerly used to, but being unable to break the rope of mindfulness gets away, it sits down, lies down, and by that object under the influence of access and absorption. Hence the ancient said, 154, just as a man who tames a calf would tie it to a post, so here should his own mind by mindfulness be firmly to the object tied. This is how an abode favorable to his development. Hence it was said above. This signifies that it has found an abode favorable to the development of concentration through mindfulness breathing. 155. Or alternatively, this mindfulness breathing as mindful meditation subject, which is foremost among the various meditation subjects over all Buddhas, some Pratyeka Buddhas and some Buddha's disciple, as a basis of attaining distinction and abiding in bliss here and now, is not easy to develop without leaving the neighborhood of villages which resound with the noises of women, men, elephants, horses, etc., nose being a thorn to jhana. Whereas in the forest away from village, a meditator can at his ease set out discerning his meditation subject and achieve the fourth jhana in mindfulness breathing, and then by making that same jhana the basis of the comprehension of formation with insight, he can reach arhatship, the highest fruit. That is why the Blessed One said, "Gone to the forest," etc., in pointing out a favorable abode for him. 156. For the Blessed One is like a master of the art of building sites. As the master of the art building sites surveys the purpose site or for a town, thoroughly examines it, then gives his direction. Build the town here, and when the town is safely finished, he receives great honor from the royal family. So the Blessed One examines an abode as to its sustainability for the meditator and directs, devote yourself to the meditation subject here, and later on, when meditator has devoted himself to the meditation subject and reached arhatship and says the Blessed One is indeed fully enlightened, the Blessed One receives great honor. 157. And this bhikshu is compared to a leopard, for just as a great leopard king lurks in a grass wilderness or a jungle wilderness or a rock wilderness in forest and seizes wild beasts, the wild buffalo, a wild ox, boar, etc., so too bhikshu who devotes himself to his meditation subject in the forest, etc., should be understood to seize successfully the path of stream entry, one's return, one non-return, and arhatship, and the noble fruition as well. Hence the ancient said, "For as the leopard by his lurking in the forest seizes beasts, so also will this Buddha's son with insight gifted strenuous by his retreating to the forest seize the highest fruit of all, for all." So the Blessed One said, "Go into the forest," etc. So to point out the forest abode as a place likely to hasten his advancement. 158. Herein, gone to the forest is gone to any kind of forest possessing the bliss of seclusion among the kinds of forests characterized thus, having gone out beyond the boundary posts, all that is forest. A forest abode is 500 bow length distance. To the root of a tree, gone to the vicinity of a tree. To an empty place, gone to an empty secluded place. And here he can be said to have gone to an empty space, where he has gone to any of the remaining 7 kinds of abode. 159. Having thus indicated an abode that is suitable to the 3 seasons, suitable to humor and temperament, and favorable to the development of mindfulness breathing, he then said, "Sit down," etc., indicating posture that is peaceful and tends neither to idleness nor to agitation. Then he said, having folded his legs crosswise, etc., to show firmness in sitting position, easy occurrence of the in-breath and out-breath, and a means for discerning the object. And 16. Herein, crosswise is the sitting position in the thigh, fully locked, folded, having locked, set his body erect, having placed the upper part of body erect, with the 18 backbone resting end on end. For when he is seated like this, his skin, flesh, and sinews are not twisted, and to the feelings that would arise moment by moment, if they were twisted, do not rise. That being so, his mind become unified. The meditation subject, instead of collapsing, attains to growth and increase. 161. Establish mindfulness in front of him having placed mindfulness facing the mindful meditation subject. Or alternatively, the meaning can be treated here to accord to the method of explanation given to the Patisambhida, which is this. Pari has the sense of control. Parigaha. Mukham, literally mouth, has the sense of an outlet. Sati has a sense of establishment. That is why Parimukham Satim, mindfulness as a controlled outlet, is said. The meaning of the brief is, having made mindfulness the outlet from opposition, forgetfulness being thereby controlled. 162. Even mindful, ever mindful he breathes in, mindful he breathes out, etc. Out, having seated himself thus, having established mindfulness, thus the bhikshu does not abandon mindfulness ever. Mindful he breathes in, mindful he breathes out. His mindful worker is what is meant. Is what is meant. So 163. Now breathing in long. Breathing now, the main commentary on four tetrads of the 16 breathings. First, now breathing in long, etc. is said in order to show the different ways in which he is mindful worker. For in the Patisambhida, in the exposition of the clause, ever mindful he breathes in, mindful he breathes out. This is said, he is a mindful worker of 32 ways. 1. When he knows unification mind and not distracted by means of long in-breath, mindfulness established on him, owing to that mindfulness and knowledge that he is a mindful worker. 2. When he knows the unification mind and non-distraction by means of long in-breath, by means of breathing in, contemplating relinquishment all the way. 32. When he knows unification mind and non-distraction by means of breathing out, contemplating relinquishment, mindfulness is established in him. Owing to that mindfulness knowledge, he is a mindful worker. 164. Herein, breathing in long is producing a long in-breath. Asasa is wind issuing out. Pasasa is wind entering out. In is said in the Vinaya commentary, but in the Sutanta commentary it is given in the opposite sense. Herein, when any infant comes out from the mother's womb, first wind from within goes out, and subsequently the wind from without enters in. With fine dust strikes the palate and is extinguished with the infant sneezing. This first is how asasa and pasasa should be understood. 165. But the length and shortness should be understood by extent. For just as a water or sand that occupies an extent of space is called long water, and a long sand, a long short water, a short sand, or in the case of elephants and snakes' bodies, the in-breaths and out-breaths regarded as particles slowly fill the long extent. In other words, their persons then slowly goes out again. That is why they are called long. They rapidly fill the short extent. In other words, the person of a dog or a hare, etc., that rapidly goes out again. That is why they are called short. 166. And in the case of human beings, some breathe in and breathe out long by extent of time, as elephants or snakes, etc., do, while others breathe in and breathe out short by in that way as dogs, hares, etc. do. Of these, therefore, the breath that travel over a long extent in entering in and going out are to be understood long in time, and breath that travel over a little extent in entering and going out as short time. 167. Now bhikshus knows, I breathe in, I breathe out long, while breathing in, breathing out long in 9 ways, in the development of the foundation of mindfulness, consisting in contemplation of the body, should be understood as to be perfected in one aspect in him, and who knows thus, according to, as it is said in the Patisambhada. 168. How breathing in long does he know? I breathe in long, I breathe out long. Does he know I breathe out long? He. Number 1. He breathed in long in breath reckoned as an extent. He breathed out long, out breath reckoned as extent. He breathed in and breathed out and long in breath and out breath reckoned as an extent. He breathed in and breathed out long in breath and out breath reckoned as to an extent. Zeal arises. 4. Through zeal he breathed in and long in breath, more subtle than before, reckon and extent. 5. Through zeal he breathed out long out breath, more subtle than before, reckon to an extent. 6. Through zeal he breathed in and breathed out long in breath and out breath, through more subtle than the reckoned as an extent. As through zeal he breathed in and out long in breath and out breath, more subtle than before, reckoned to an extent, gladness arises. 7. Through gladness he breathed in a long in breath, more subtle than before, reckoned to as an extent. 8. Through gladness he breathed out a long out breath, more subtle than before, reckoned as an extent. 9. Through gladness he breathed in and breathed out long in breath, long out breath, more subtle than before, reckoned as an extent. As though gladness he breathed in, breathed out long in breath, breathed out more subtle than before, reckoned as extent. His mind turns away from the long in breath and out breath in equanimity. Established. Long in breath and out breath in these 9 ways are a body. The establishment of the foundation is mindfulness. The contemplation is knowledge. Knowledge. The body is the establishment of foundation, but is not the mindfulness. Mindfulness is both the establishment of foundation and the mindfulness. By means of that mindfulness and that knowledge, he contemplates that body. That is why development of a foundation of mindfulness, establishing and contemplation of the body as a body. 169. 2. In the same method of explanation applies also in the case of short breath, but there is this difference. While in the former case, long in breath reckoned as an extent, in what is said here, short in breath reckoned as a little duration. Is given. So it must be construed as short as far as the phrase. This is why development of the foundation mindfulness consisting of contemplation of the body as a body is said. 117. So it should be understood that it is when the bhikshu knows in breath and out breath in these 9 ways as long extent and as a duration short, that breathing in long and he knows breathe in long, breathing out short, he knows breathe out short is said of him. And when he knows thus, the long kind is long kind and short as well, the in-breaths and out-breath too, since such then are the four kinds that happen at the bhikkhu knows tip here. 171. 3. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, I shall breathe out, experiencing the whole body. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, making known, making plain, beginning, middle, and end of the entire in-breath body. I shall breathe out, making known, making plain, the beginning, middle, and end of the entire out-breath. Thus he trains, making them known, making them plain. In this way, he both breathes in and out with consciousness associated with knowledge. That is why it is said, he trains thus, I shall breathe in, I shall breathe out. 172. To one bhikkhu at the beginning of the in-breath body or out-breath body distributes it in particles, that is to say, regarded as successive arises, is plain, but not the middle or the end. He is only able to discern the beginning, as has difficulty with the middle and the end. To another, middle is plain, not the beginning or end. He is only able to discern the middle and has difficulty beginning with the beginning and end. To another, end is plain, not beginning or end, as he is only able to discern the end and has difficulty with the beginning and the end. To yet another, all stages are plain. He is able to discern them all and has no difficulty with them at all. Pointing out that one should be like the last mentioned bhikkhu, he said, he trains thus, I shall breathe in, I shall breathe out, experiencing the whole body. 173. Herein he trains, he strives, he endeavors in this way. Or else the restraint here in one such as this is training in the higher virtue. His consciousness is training in the higher consciousness, and his understanding is training in the higher understanding. So he trains in, repeats, develops, repeatedly practices these three kinds of training on that object by means of mindfulness, by means of that attention. This is how meaning should be regarded here. (174). Herein the first part of the system, number 1 and 2, he should only breathe in and breathe out, not do anything else at all, and it is only after that he should apply himself to the arousing knowledge and so on. Consequently, the present tense is used here in the text. He knows I breathe in, he knows I breathe out. But the future tense in the passage beginning, I shall breathe in, experience whole body, should be understood as used in order to show the aspect of arousing knowledge, etc., has been undertaken from then on. 175. 4. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, shall breathe out, tranquilizing bodily formations. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, shall breathe out, tranquilizing, completely tranquilizing, stopping, stilling the gross bodily formation. 176. But, and here both the gross and subtle states and also progressive tranquilizing should be understood. For previously at the time when the bhikkhu has still not discerned the meditation subject, his body and his mind are disturbed, and so they are gross. And while the grossness of the body and the mind has still not subsided, the in-breath, out-breath are gross. They get stronger, his nostrils become inadequate, he keeps breathing in and out through his mouth. But they become quiet and still when his body and mind have been discerned. When they are still, then the in-breath, out-breath occur so subtly that he has to investigate whether they exist or not. 177. Suppose a man stands still after running, or descending from a hill, or putting down a bag or load from his head, and then his in-breath and out-breath are gross. His nostrils become inadequate. He keeps on breathing in or out through the mouth. But when he has rid himself of his fatigue, and has bathed and drunk, and put a wet cloth on his heart, and is lying on a cool shade, then his in-breath, out-breath eventually occurs so subtly that he has to investigate whether they exist or not. So too, previously at the time when the bhikkhu has not discerned, he has to investigate whether they exist or not. 178. Why is that? Because previously, at the time when he has still not discerned, there is no concern in him, no reaction, no attention, no reviewing, to the effect that I am progressively tranquilizing each gross bodily formation. But when he has discerned, there is his bodily formation at the time when he has discerned is subtle in comparison with at that time when he has not. Hence, ancient said, the mind and body are disturbed. When then in excess occurs, but when the body is disturbed, then it with subtlety occurs. 179. In discerning the meditation subject, the formation is gross and it is subtle by comparison in the first jhana access. Also, it is gross in that, and subtle by comparison in the first jhana. In the first jhana and the second jhana access, it is gross. In the second jhana, subtle. In the second jhana and third jhana access, it is gross. In the third jhana, subtle. In the third jhana and the fourth jhana access, it is gross. And the fourth jhana is so exceedingly subtle that it even reaches cessation. This is the opinion of the Digha Nikaya and Samyukta Nikaya reciters. But the Majjhima Nikaya reciters have it that it is subtle in each axis than in jhana below 2 in this way. In the first jhana it is gross, in the second jhana axis it is subtle by comparison, and so on. It is, however, the opinion of all that the body formation occurring before the time of discerning becomes tranquilized at the time of discerning, and the bodily formation at the time of discerning become tranquilized in the first jhana axis, and the bodily formation occurring in the fourth jhana axis become tranquilized in the fourth jhana. This is the method of the explanation in the case of serenity. 180. But in the case of insight, bodily formation occurring at the time of not discerning is gross, and in discerning the primary elements, it is by comparison subtle, and also it is gross in discerning derived materially, it is subtle. That also it is gross, it is discerning all materiality, it is subtle, and also it is gross, and in discerning the material is subtle, and also it is gross in discerning the material immaterial, it is subtle, and that also is gross, and in discerning a condition it is subtle. Also it also is gross in seeing mentality materially with its conditions, it is subtle. That also is gross, and inside that has the characteristic of impermanent, etc. as its object, it is subtle. That also is gross in weak insight, while in strong insight it is subtle. Herein, tranquilizing should be understood as the relative tranquility of the subsequent compared to the previous. Thus should be gross and subtle state, and the progressive tranquilizing be understood here. 181. But the meaning of this is given in the Patisambhida together with the option and clarification thus. How is it that he trains thus, I shall breathe in, shall breathe out, tranquilizing the bodily formation? What are the bodily formation? Long in-breath, out-breath, experiencing the whole body belong to the body. These things being bound up in the body are bodily formation. He trains in tranquilizing, stopping, stilling these bodily formation. When there are such bodily formations where there is bending backwards, sideways in all directions, or forwards, and perturbation, vacillation, moving and shaking of the body, he trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the formation, bodily formation. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing bodily formations. Bodily formation, and when there are such bodily formation, thereby whereby there is no bending forward, sideways in a direction, forwards, or no perturbation, vacillation, moving and shaking of the body, quietly, subtly he trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing bodily formation. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing the bodily formations. 182. The objection. So then he trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the bodily formation. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing the bodily formation. That being so, there is no production of awareness of wind, there is no production of in-breath, out-breath, and there is no production of mindfulness breathing, and there is no production of concentration through mindfulness breathing, and consequently the wise neither enter into nor emerge from that attainment. 183. Clarification. So then he trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing bodily formation. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing bodily formation. That being so, there is production of awareness of wind, there is production of in-breath and out-breath, there is production of mindfulness of breathing, and there is production of concentration through mindfulness breathing, and consequently the wise enter into and emerge from that attainment. 184. Like what? Just as when a gong is struck, at first gross sounds occur and consciousness occurs because the sign of gross sounds is well apprehended, well attended to, well observed, and when the gross sounds have ceased, then afterwards faint sounds occur and consciousness occur, because sign of the faint sounds is well apprehended, well attended to, well observed, and when the faint sounds have ceased, then afterwards consciousness occurs, because it has the sign of faint sounds as its object. So too at first gross in-breath and out-breath occur, and consciousness does not become distracted, because the sign of gross in-breath and out-breath is well apprehended, well attended to, well observed, and when the gross in-breath or out-breath have ceased, then afterwards faint in-breath and out-breaths occur, and consciousness does not become distracted, because the sign of faint in-breath and out-breath is well apprehended, well attended to, well observed, and when the faint in-breath or out-breaths have ceased, then afterwards consciousness does not become distracted, because it has the sign of the faint in-breath and out-breath as its object. That being so, there is production of awareness of wind, and there is production of in-breath and out-breath, there is production of mindfulness of breathing, and there is production of concentration through mindfulness of breathing, and consequently the wise enter into and emerge from that attainment, attainment. 185. In-breath and out-breath tranquilizing the body formation are a body. The establishment foundation is mindfulness. The contemplation is knowledge. The body is the establishment foundation, but it's not the mindfulness. Mindfulness is both the establishment foundation and mindfulness. By means of mindfulness and the knowledge that he contemplates that body, that is why development of foundation, establishment mindfulness consisting in contemplation of the body as a body is said. This, in the first place, is the consecutive word commentary here on the first tetrad, which deals with the contemplation of the body. Method development, 186. The first tetrad is set forth as a meditation subject for a beginner. But the other three tetrads are respectively set forth as the contemplation of feeling, of manner of consciousness, and of mental objects for one who has already attained jhana in this tetrad. So if a clansman who is a beginner wants to develop this meditation subject and through insight based on the fourth jhana produced in breathing to reach arhatship together with the discrimination, he should first do all the work connected with the purification virtue in the way already described, after which he should learn the meditation subject in 5 stages from a teacher of the kind already described. 187. Here are the 5 stages: learning, questioning, establishing, absorption, and characteristics. Here in learning is learning the meditation subject. Questioning is questioning about the meditation subject. Establishing meditation subject. Absorption is absorption of the meditation subject. Characteristic is the characteristic of meditation subject. What is meant is that it is ascertaining of that meditation subject's individual essence. Thus, this meditation subject has such a characteristic. 188. Learning the meditation subject is in the 5 stages in this way. He neither tries himself nor worries the teacher. So in giving this meditation subject, consisting in mindfulness of breathing attention, he can live neither with the teacher or elsewhere or in an abode of the kind already described. Learning the meditation subject in the 5 stages, thus getting a little expounded at a time and taking a long time over reciting, she should sever minor impediments. After finishing the work connected with the meal and getting rid of any dizziness due to the meal, he should sit himself comfortably. Then, making sure he is not confused about even a single word when he has learned from the teacher, he should cheer his mind by recollecting the special quality of 3 gems. 3 gems. 3 gems. Sorry. 189. Here are the stages in giving attention to counting. Number 1 is counting. 2nd is connection. 3rd is touching. 4th is fixing. 5th is observing. 6 is turning away. 7 is purification. And 8 is looking back on these. Herein, counting is just counting. Connection is carrying on. Touching is the place touched by the breath. Fixing is absorption. Observing is insight. Turning away is the path. Purification is fruition. Looking back on this is reviewing. 190. First, herein, this clansman who is a beginner should first give attention to this meditation subject by counting. And when counting, he should not stop short of 5 or go beyond 10 or make any break in the series. By stopping short of 5, his thought gets excited in the cramped space, like a herd of cattle shut in a cramped place. By going beyond 10, his thoughts take the number rather than the breath for their support. By making break in the series, he wonders if the meditation subject has reached completion or not. So he should do his counting without any faults, without those faults. 191. When counting, he should at first do it slowly, that is late as a grain measurer does. For a grain measurer, having filled his measure, says 1 and empties it. Then refilling it, he goes on saying 1, 1, while removing any rubbish he may have noticed. And the same with 2, 2, and so on. So taking the in-breath or out-breath, whichever appears most plainly, he should begin with 1, 1, and count up to 10, 10, noting each as it occurs. 192. As he does this counting in this way, the in-breaths and out-breaths become evident to him as they enter in and issue out. When he can leave off counting slowly late, like a grain measurer, then he can count quickly, that is, early, as cowherd does. For a skilled cowherd takes pebbles in his pocket and goes to the cow pen in the morning, whip in the hand, sitting on the bar of the gate, prodding the cows in the back. He counts each one as it reaches to the gate, saying 1, 2, dropping a pebble for each. And the cows of the herd, which have been spending the 3 watches of the night uncomfortably in the crammed space, comes out quickly in party, jostling each other as they escape. So he counts quickly early, 3, 4, 5, and so up to 10. In this way, the in-breath and out-breath, which had already become evident to him while he counted them in former way, now keeps moving along quickly. 193. Then, knowing that he keeps moving along quickly, not apprehending them either side, inside or outside the body, but apprehending them as they reach the nostril door, he can do his counting quickly early. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For as long as meditation subject is connected with counting, it is with the help of the very counting that the mind becomes unified, just as a boat is a swift current steadied with the help of a rudder. 194. When he counts quickly, the meditative subject becomes apparent to him as an uninterrupted process. Then, knowing that it is proceeding uninterruptedly, he can count quickly early in the way just described, but discerning the wind, either inside or outside the body. 4. By bringing his consciousness inside with the incoming breath, as if it were buffeted by the wind inside or filled with it. By taking his consciousness outside along with the outgoing breath, it gets distracted by the multiplicity of the object outside. However, his development is successful when he fixes his mindfulness on the place touched by the breath. That is why it was said above, he can count quickly early in the way just described, not discerning the wind either outside or inside. 195. But how long is he going to go on counting? Until without counting, mindfulness remains settled on the in-breath and out-breath as its object. For counting is simply a device for setting mindfulness on the in-breath and out-breath as object by cutting off the external dissipation of applied thoughts. 196. Having given attention to it in this way by counting, he should now do so by connection. Connection is the uninterrupted following of the in-breath and out-breath with mindfulness after counting has given up, and that is not by following after the beginning, middle, and the end. 197. The navel is beginning of the wind issuing out. Heart is middle in the nose tip and its end. Nose tip is the beginning of the wind entering in, and the heart is the middle, and the navel is the end. And if he follows after that, his mind is distracted by disquiet and perturbation, according to it is said. When he goes in with mindfulness after beginning, middle, and end, and the in-breath, his mind being distracted internally, both his body and his mind are disquieted and perturbed and shaky. When he goes out with mindfulness after beginning, middle, and end of the out-breath, his mind being distracted externally, both his body, his mind are disquieted and perturbed and shaky. 3 to 4. So, when he gives his attention to it by connection, he should do so not by the beginning, middle, end, but rather by touching and by fixing. 198. There is no attention to be given. There is no attention to be given to by touching separate from fixing, as there is by counting separate from connection. But when he is counting the breath in the place touched by each, he is giving attention to them by counting. by counting. By counting and touching. When he's given up counting and he's connecting them by means of mindfulness in that same place and fixing consciousness by means of absorption, then he's said to be giving attention to them by connection, touching and fixing. And the meaning of this may be understood through the similes of a man who cannot walk and the gatekeeper given in the commentaries, and through the simile of a soul given in the Patisambhida. Here is the simile of a man who cannot walk, just as man unable to walk, who is rocking a swing for the amusement of his children, and the mother sits at the foot of the swing post and sees both ends and the middle of the swing playing successfully coming and going, yet does not move from his place in order to see both ends in the middle. So too, when a bhikshu places himself and with mindfulness, as it were, at the foot of the post for anchoring mindfulness, and rocks the swing of in-breath and out-breath, he sits down with mindfulness on the sign of the same space, same place, and follows mindfulness, the beginning, the middle, and end of the in-breath and out-breath at the place touched by them as they are come and go, keeping his mind fixing there. He then sees them without moving from his place in order to see them. This is a simile of a man who cannot walk. This is the simile of a gatekeeper, as the gatekeeper just does not examine people inside or outside the town, asking, "Who are you? Where have you come from? Where are you going? What have you got in your bag?" For those people are not his concern. But he does examine each man as he arrives at the gate. So too, the incoming breath that have gone inside and outgoing breath that have gone in outside are not the bhikkhu's concern, but they are his concern each time when they arrive at the nostril gate itself. 201. Then the simile of a soul should be understood from beginning, for this is said, "Sign in breath, out breath are not object of a single consciousness. By one who knows not these three things, development is not obtained. Sign in breath, out breath are not object of a single consciousness. By one who does not know these three things, development cannot be obtained." 202. How is it that these three things are not connected, are not the object of single consciousness, that they are nevertheless are not unknown, and the mind does not become distracted, and he manifests effort, carries out tasks, and achieves an effort? Suppose there were a tree trunk placed on a level piece of ground, and a man cut with a saw. The man's mindfulness is established by the saw's teeth, where they touch the tree trunk without his giving attention to the saw's teeth. As they approach, recedes, though they are not unknown to him, as they do, and he manifests efforts, carries out tasks, and achieves an effect. As the tree trunk placed on the level piece of ground, so the sign of the anchoring the mindfulness. As the soul's teeth to sow the in-breath and out-breath. As the man's mindfulness established by the soul's teeth, where they touch the tree trunk, without his giving attention to the soul's teeth, as they approach and recede, though they are not unknown to him, as they do so he manifests effort, carries out the task, and achieves the effect. So too, a bhikshu sits having established and achieved the effect. So too, bhikshu sits having established mindfulness at the nose tip or on the upper lip, without giving attention to the in-breath, out-breath. They approach and recede, though they are not unknown to him as they do so. He manifests effort, carries out a task, and achieves the effect. 203. Effort is, what is effort? The body and mind of one who is energetic becomes wieldy. This is the effort. What is the task? Imperfection come to be abandoned in one who is energetic, and his applied thoughts are stilled. This is the task. What is the effect? Fetters come to be abandoned in one who is energetic, and his inherent tendency come to be done away with it. This is the effect. So, these three things are not the object of single concentration consciousness. So, they are nevertheless not known. So, and the mind does not become distracted, and he manifests effort, carries out tasks, and achieves the effect. Whose mindfulness of breathing in and out is perfect, well developed, and gradually brought to growth, according to the Buddha, as the Buddha taught, 'tis he illuminates the world, just like the moon free from cloud. This is the simile of a soul. But here it is precisely he is not giving attention to the breath, and yet to come and already gone. That should be understood as the purpose. 204. When someone gives his attention to this meditation subject, sometimes it is not long before sign arises him. Then the fixing, in other words, absorption adorned with the rest of jhana factors is achieved. 205. After someone has given his attention to counting, then just as when a body that is disturbed sits down on a bed or chair, the bed or chair sags down and creaks, and the cover gets rumpled. But when a body that is not disturbed sits down, the bed, chair neither sags down or creaks, the cover does not get rumpled, and it is as though filled with cotton wool. Why? Because the body that is not disturbed is light. So too, after he has given his attention to counting, when the bodily disturbance has been stilled by the gradual cessation of gross in-breath and out-breath, then both body and the mind become light. The physical body is as though it were ready to leap up into the air. 206. When his gross in-breath and out-breath has ceased, his consciousness occurs with sign of the subtle in-breath and out-breath as its object. And when that has ceased, it goes on occurring with the successively subtle signs as its object. How? Suppose, number 207, suppose a man struck a bronze bell with a big iron bar, and at once loud sound arose. His consciousness would occur with the gross sound as its object. Then, when the gross sound has ceased, it would occur afterwards with the sign of the subtle sound as its object. And then, when that has ceased, it would go on occurring with the sign of the successively subtle sounds as object. This is how it should be understood, and this is given in detail in the passage beginning, just as when a metal gong is struck. 208. For while other meditation subjects become clearer at higher stages, this does not in fact, as it goes on developing, it becomes more subtle for him at each higher stage, and it even comes to the point at which it is no longer manifest. However, when it becomes unmanifest in this way, the bhikkhu should not get up from his seat, shake out his leather mat, and go away. What should be done? He should not got up with the idea, shall I ask the teacher, or is my meditation subject lost? For by going away and so disturbing his posture, the meditation subject has to be started anew. So he should go on sitting as he was, and to temporarily substitute the place formerly touched by the actual breaths as the objects of contemplation. 209. These are the means for doing it. The bhikkhu should recognize the unmanifested meditation subject and consider thus, where do these in-breath, out-breath exist? Where do they not? In whom do they exist? In whom not? Then as he considers thus, he finds out they do not exist in one inside the another's womb, mother's womb, or in those drowned in water, or likewise the unconscious beings, or in the dead, or in those attained in the fourth jhana, or in those born into fine material and immaterial existence, or in those attained in cessation of perception or feeling. So he should apostrophize himself thus: you with all your wisdom are certainly not inside mother's womb, or drowned in water, or in unconscious existence, or dead, or attained to the fourth jhana, or born into fine material, immaterial existence, or attained to cessation. Those in breath and out breath are actually existing in you. Only you are not able to discern them because your understanding is dull. Then, fixing his mind on the place formerly touched by in-breath, he should proceed to give his attention to that. 210. Those in-breath and out-breath occur strikingly at the tip of nose in a long-nosed man and upper lip in a short-nosed man. So he should fix the sign thus: this is the place where they strike. This was why Blessed One said, Bhikshu, I do not say of one who is forgetful, who is not fully aware, that he practiced development of mindfulness of a breathing. Although any meditation subject, no matter what, is successful only in one who is mindful and fully aware, yet any meditation subject other than this one gets more evident as he does on giving his attention. But his mindfulness breathing is difficult to develop, a field in which only minds of Buddhas, Pratyeka Buddhas, Buddha's sons are at home. It is no trivial matter, nor can it be cultivated by trivial persons. In proportion as continued attention is given to it, it becomes more peaceful and more subtle. So strong mindfulness and understanding are necessary here. 212. Just as when doing needlework on a piece of fine cloth, the fine needle is needed, and a still finer instrument for boring the needle's eye, so too, when developing this meditation subject, which resemble fine cloth, both the mindfulness, which is the counterpart of the needle, and the understanding associated with, which is the counterpart of instruments for boring the needle's eye, need to be strong. A bhikshu must have the necessary mindfulness and understanding and must look for the in-breaths and out-breath nowhere else than the place normally touched by them. 213. Suppose a plowman, after doing some plowing, sent his oxen free to graze and sat down to rest in the shade. Then his oxen would soon go in the forest. Now a skilled plowman who wants to catch them and yoke them again does not wander through the forest following their tracks, but rather he takes his rope and goad and goes straight to the drinking place where they meet, and he sits and lies there. Then after the oxen have wandered about in a part of the day, they come to the drinking place where they meet, and they bathe and drink. And when he says that they have come out and standing about, he secures them with the rope, and prodding them with the goad, he brings them back, yoke them, goes on with his plowing. So too, bhikshu should not look for the in-breath and out-breath anywhere else than the place normally touched by them, as he should take the rope of mindfulness of the goad of understanding, fixing his mind out place normally touched by them. He should go on giving his attention to that. 285. No, that's just a bracket. For he gives his attention in this way. He reappear after no long time, as the oxen did at the drinking place where they met. So he can secure them with the rope of mindfulness, and yoking them in the same place and prodding them with the goad of understanding, he can keep on applying himself to the meditation subject. 214. So when he goes on, when he does so in this way, the sign soon appears to him. But it is not the same for all. On the contrary, some say that when it appears, it does so to certain people, producing a light touch like cotton or silkworm, or silk cotton or a drought. 215. This is opposition given in the commentary. It appears to some like a star or a cluster of gems or a cluster of pearls, to others like a rough touch, like that of a silk cotton seeds, or a peg made out of hardwood, or to others like a long braid string, or a wreath of flowers, or a puff of smoke. To others like a stretch. Like a stretch of a cobweb, or a film of cloud, or a lotus flower, or a chariot wheel, or the moon's disk, or the sun's disk. 216. In fact, this resembles an occasion when a member of bhikshus are sitting together reciting a sutra. When the bhikshu asks, "What does this sutra appear like you?" one says, "It appears to me like a great mountain torrent." Another, "To me, it is like a line of forest trees." Another, "To me, is like a spreading fruit tree giving cool shade." For the one sutra appears to them differently because of the difference in their perception. Similarly, this single meditation subject appears differently because of difference in perception. It is born of perception. Its source is perception. It is produced by perception. Therefore, it should be understood that when it appears differently, it is because difference in perception. 217. And here, the consciousness that has in-breath as its object is one. The consciousness that has out-breath as object is another. The consciousness that has sign as its object is another. For the meditation subject reach out neither absorption nor even access in one who has not got these three things, but it reaches access and also absorption in one who has got these three things clear. So it is said, sign in breath, out breath are not object of a single consciousness. By one who knows not these three things, development is not obtained. Sign in breath, out breath are not object of a single consciousness. By one who does not know these three things, development can be obtained. 218. And when the sign has appeared in this way, the bhikshu should go to the teacher and tell him, "Venerable sir, such and such has appeared to me." But say the Diga reciters, the teacher should say neither this is a sign, nor this is not the sign. After saying it happens like that, friend, he should tell him, "Go on giving it attention again and again, for it were told is the sign." He might even become complacent and stop short at that. And if he were told it is not the sign, he might not get discouraged and give up. So he should encourage him to keep giving his attention without saying either. So Diga reciters say, firstly, but the Majjhimika reciters say that he should be told, "This is the sign, friend. Well done. Keep giving attention to it again and again." 219. But when he should fix his mind on that same sign, and from now on his development proceeds by way of fixing, for the ancients has said, fixing his mind upon the sign and putting away the extraneous aspects, a clever man anchors his mind upon the breathing in and out. 220. So as soon as the sign appears, his hindrances suppress, his defilements subside, his mindfulness is established, and his consciousness is concentrated in access concentration. 221. Then he should not give attention to the sign as to its color or review it as to its specific characteristic. He should guard it carefully as a king's chief queen guards the child in a womb due to become a wheel-turning monarch, as a farmer guards the ripening crops, as he should avoid the 7 unsuitable things, beginning with unsuitable abode and cultivate the 7 suitable things. Then, guarding it thus, he should make it grow and improve with repeated attention, and he should practice the 10-fold skills and absorption and bring about awareness of energy. 222. As he strives thus, 4-fold and 5-fold jhana is achieved by him on that same sign in the same way as described under the earth Kachina. However, when a bhikshu has achieved the 4-fold and 5-fold jhana and wants to reach purity of developing the meditation subject through observing and through turning away, he should make that jhana familiar by attaining mastery in the 5 ways, and then embark upon insight by defining mentality and materiality. How? 223. On emerging from the attainment, he sees that the in-breath and out-breath have the physical body and mind as their origin, and that just as when a blacksmith bellows are being blown, the wind moves owing to the bag and the man's appropriate effort, so too the in-breath and out-breath are due to bodily and the mind. Next, he defines the in-breath, out-breath as the body as a materiality, and the consciousness in the state of associated with consciousness as the immaterial mind. This is brief, but the details will be explained later in defining the mentality and materiality. 224. Having defined mentality and materiality in this way, he seeks its condition. With search he finds it. So overcomes his doubts about the way of mentality, materiality occurrence in the 3 divisions of time. His doubts being overcome, his attributes, the 3 characteristics, beginning with that of the suffering to mentality and materiality, comprehending them by groups. He abandons the 10 imperfections of insight, beginning with illumination, and which arise in the first stage of contemplation, rise and fall, and he defines the path as knowledge of the way that is free from these imperfections. He reaches contemplation of dissolution by abandoning attention arising when all formation have appeared as terror owing to the contemplation of their incessant dissolution. He becomes dispassionate towards them. His greed for them fades away, and he is liberated from them. After he has thus reached the 4 noble paths, in due succession has become established in fruition of arhatship, he at last attains the 19 kinds of reviewing knowledge, and he becomes fit to review the highest gifts of the world with deities. At this point, his development of concentration through mindful breathing, beginning with counting and ending and looking back, is completed. This is the commentary on the first tetrad in all aspects. So we'll stop there. Thank you, everyone. So that is what we went through. The breathing is, even though we have not finished, is talking about the 16 kinds of anapanasati meditation, of which the 16 breathing aspects of the mindfulness breathing are subdivided into 4 tetrads. Each tetrad belongs to the 4 mindfulness body. First tetrad, mindfulness feeling. Second tetrad, mindfulness of mind. And the third tetrad, and mindfulness of phenomena, or the 4th tetrad. So we have just concluded describing the first tetrad of the mindfulness of body. So with this we conclude here. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's do the dedication merits. Abade mere meve horaga de deva menzege honeze mehale bere oberonde oshana bada desenede erenda mahayana jeje vadeva mere raheve me obe bekas den levez Choedak mahayana jeje Courage, manju shenyo azama Theravada Buddhist follow he avade zamba ashade deke odimere mede excellent body jeda tebe vere no yedanso where has been born me freely with the generation.